Welcome to another episode of the Coffee at the 10-Star Home series by SUHO. We're sitting here in the 10-Star Home in South Australia, the first in South Australia, only the third in all of Australia. You can visit now, and today I've got a visitor, and that's Robert from Tindo Solar, one of the partners on this project. And obviously, when you're talking about energy efficient and sustainable homes, the first thing many people think of is solar, and that's where Tindo came in on this project. Thanks, Robert,
no worries.
for coming along.
No worries, thank you.
We'll talk a little bit with Robert about their involvement in the project. Everybody knows solar in terms of very, basic principle, but Robert can explain us a little bit more about the differences and hopefully also give us a glimpse into what the future of solar might look like, which I'm personally quite excited of hearing about. But before we get into that, can you explain to the viewers a little bit sort of what you guys provided on the project and why did you get involved?
Yeah, so we've provided the solar panels that go on the roof of both of the homes. Mm-hmm. The overall capacity on each house is more than enough for the power needs of both properties.
Yeah.
So we've provided the solar panels that are then pairing up beautifully with the existing inverter that's been supplied by Sporne.
Yeah.
That system is our latest monocrystalline panels that we're making here locally in Mawson Lakes.
Yeah, okay, excellent. And we'll talk a little bit more in detail about what sort of the differences are on the type of panels and all this stuff. But can you talk us a little bit through, why did you get involved on the project? So what's Tindo's vision behind this?
Obviously, solar is environmental 101. It's exactly why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So I believe you reached out to us personally and you said to us, look, we've got this exciting project, what do you want to do?
Yeah. And
it really just struck a chord with us that this is something that is core to our values, and we worked together and put together the plan and the package, and it's come together well.
I think, to me, that's why I reached out, like, if you have the most energy efficient home in South Australia, you cannot not have South Australian made and produced solar panels.
Exactly.
And you guys are the only manufacturer of solar panels in all of the Southern Hemisphere, if I say that correctly.
That's correct, yeah.
And I visited your factory, a really exciting place to be and to see how these things are mentioned. And little scoop for the people that are watching, you guys are building a new factory at the moment, as I understand. And you guys are working on actually being able to get people to tour through the factory.
Yeah, so we're building the factory right next door to our current factory. Right. So it's going to be probably twice the size as our current factory. Mm-hmm. The factory is designed around tours. So where the offices are being built around exhibition space and around conference space. So we'll be able to do large scale tours, small scale tours, and really just inviting our customers in to be part of the process.
Wow. So keep an eye on that. For those who are watching, if you're watching, you're probably interested in this space, interested in anything related to solar. This is a great opportunity to get a look at how those panels are made. And like I say from experience, it's a very, very interesting process, and and it's a unique experience. So really exciting. Now, when I did the tour, you guys told me a little bit about there's no such thing as just a solar panel. It's not quite that simple. There's different flavors to that. There's different options. Can you talk us through a little bit about what we have on the roof here, and what are the other perhaps options, and what are the benefits of the different options that are in the market?
Yeah, so up on the roof here, we've got our standard 60-cell monocrystalline module. Mm-hmm. That's our typical panel that we would put on 90% of our residential clients' houses.
Right.
It's the most flexible panel because of its size, and it's nice, efficient, good use of space on a house. But because of its size, we can generally fit any roof space, any roof size. Yeah. Something we've started doing in the last year to 2 years is larger commercial scale panels. So 66-cell and 72-cell modules. And so those modules, obviously slightly larger panels, same power per square meter, but because you're installing less panels, it's a little bit more efficient. So it works really well for a commercial installation. Get them up faster, get them up quicker, less materials used in terms of railing and racking and all of that. So less embodied energy in the system, but you still get the same power output.
Excellent. And I can also remember that there was something around colors, because everybody is always has in mind those blue solar panels that we're used to, but I remember, I recall, I mean, it's been a while ago since I was there, that there was even options in that space nowadays.
Yeah, so all our panels come out with a black frame because black cells look quite odd with a silver frame on there. So black frame, we always finish that off with a nice black mid clamp so you don't have a sort of silver spots all over the panel, and just keeping that look consistent, so as streamlined as possible, basically. Our frames are thicker than the rest of the market. It just keeps that strength in the panel so that we don't have issues down the track.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Look, and aesthetics are important as well these days, and it's certainly something that we wanted to showcase in this project, you know, that energy efficiency in sustainable homes doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be a square box made out of concrete without any windows in it. So, you know, certainly aesthetics are important for people. So I think that's an important key. So when we're talking about solar, like what is the efficiency we're currently seeing with solar, and how has that grown over historically now where we are to here, and what are you expecting is going to be the efficiency on these panels moving forward?
So I've been with Tindo for about 6 years now, and when I first started with the company, we were making panels at about 15% efficiency. So we took a 16, 17% efficient cell. The manufacturing process, losses in the glass and all those sort of stuff, we ended up with about a 15 to 16% efficient panel. We are now using 20, 21% efficient cells, and we're getting to about a 19 to 20% efficient solar panel. Okay. So that's the progress in about the last 6 years of the industry.
And is that a steady process, or are we seeing like?
It's been quite a steady process through that time, and it's expected to continue at that kind of rate for quite some time. With our line upgrades that we're looking to do, we're expecting quite a sudden jump when we do that upgrade, and so we'll be looking at a 5% jump overnight with that upgrade.
Wow, so seeing 25% already almost.
Yeah, that's right. So quite a significant jump.
All right, interesting. So, and when we're talking about, so I think we've got a 5 kilowatt system on the top of this house, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pretty cloudy day at the moment, but yet actually I could see on the diagnostics, which we have, you know, we're tracking live here in the home, that we're still producing 1.7 kilowatt plus on the roof. And of course, because the house is so efficient, we're barely using a kilowatt. We still actually can run this house pretty comfortably, even on a cloudy day such as today. But I recall from also my visit that the diagnostics, the metering of the panels is something that you guys are pretty strong in, and it's at the core of your business. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Yeah,
basically everything we sell, we insist on monitoring.
Right.
So we will not allow a system to go on a roof without some form of monitoring.
All right.
And that is an absolute essential part of any system, because if we can't see what the system's doing, we can't improve people's savings.
Right.
So knowing what it's generating, what the household's using, you can't change behaviour. So you can't shift your loads, you can't maximise the use of your solar system if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
The apps are really simple to use, but without that presentation of data, you're just not going to be able to get the returns you're hoping for.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, this is definitely a unique feature to Tindo, and something that really aligned well with what we wanted for this project as well. And I think I remember, and also important to know, like, you know, obviously we always love to get our products local. You know, that's a great bonus. But just because it's local doesn't necessarily mean that it's a lesser product or anything. In fact, I would argue that the Tindo panels are among the best in the world, and we can prove that, right? Because isn't there like a big farm somewhere in the middle of Australia that you talked to me about? Where panels from different manufacturers are basically out there and being tested, and people can check data live, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's the Desert Knowledge Solar Centre in Alice Springs. So that site is available online. You can quite easily Google that. But the Desert Knowledge Centre, essentially they've got, I think, about 40 or 50 solar systems running. They're all independently run and tested by the Desert Knowledge Centre. Typically the systems are between 5 and 6 kilowatts each. And then they normalise that data down to kilowatts per kilowatt of solar. So how much is the system performing relative to the other systems? And you can run a graph across all of the systems. And on any given day of the week, we're the highest performing system out in that site. Panels that have been installed after hours, we're still higher performing, even with the 1% per year degradation you expect on solar, we're still ahead of those panels. So really good story to see that we're still ahead of the pack on all
Well,
that.
look, and that's something to be proud of. It's a great Australian product and a great Australian story, I would imagine. So when you're talking about, you talked about the 1% degradation per year, and when I talk about sustainability, I always like to touch on the durability of products as well, because I think it's extremely important from a sustainability perspective.
Yep.
So what is the durability on panels these days compared maybe to previously, and where do you think we're going?
So good quality, well-made panels should last 25, 30 years.
Okay.
The difference is a lot of the imported panels are not made to that good high quality standard.
Yes, okay.
So at the moment we're replacing a lot of failed systems that are only less than 10 years old.
And when you say failed system, does it mean that it doesn't produce anymore, or is it produced below a certain...
So a lot of them, the panels have actually broken down. So
Right.
the back sheet might have failed, or there's corrosion inside the panel because of water ingress or something
Right.
like that. So these failed panels basically cannot be repaired. There's nothing that can be done with them.
Yeah.
So we're pulling those back off the roof and putting our systems back up. The only option at the moment is to recycle the frames, and the rest of the module is going into storage for future recycling when it becomes a viable thing to do in Australia.
Okay.
So there's a company down at Lonsdale collecting those up at the moment, who are building a business case around what they're going to do. But they've got something like just shy of 100,000 modules currently in storage.
Wow.
That they're now trying to work on a recycling plan for.
I think that, and where do you expect, if we look a little bit into the future, where do you expect the life cycle of a solar panel to get to? Like, you're saying 25, 30 years now, do you reckon that
with
technology will continue to further increase that number? Or?
Yeah, so with our panels, they don't drop off a cliff at that 25, 30 year point.
Yeah.
They should still be putting out about 80% of what they did on day one at that 25-year point.
Wow, 80% still, okay.
Yeah. Customers who buy directly from Tindo, who put lifetime monitoring on, who have a warranty on their inverter that's 10 years or greater. So essentially a customer who is as committed to looking after their solar system as we are, we will give them a 25-year warranty on their panel.
Right.
So if they're as passionate and as interested in solar as we are, we'll reward them with a 25-year warranty.
Yeah.
We've had some customers who bought panels earlier in our lifespan, so we're talking 2012, 2014, those kind of vintages of our panels.
Yeah.
And they've decided, look, I need more power output on my roof, but I haven't got enough space. So they've upgraded to our more efficient panels.
Right.
So we've taken off the older ones, we've put on the newer ones.
Yeah.
But those panels we've tested, they're perfectly fine. So our process is now they're being resold, they're being reused, rather than having to go to
second-hand
recycling.
panels.
Second-hand panels.
Okay.
So people are building little solar farms on their properties. They're building little ground mounts. They're putting on caravans, all that sort of stuff. So our
So the
panels,
new developments, second-hand panels?
Yeah,
I've never really heard of
that's
that.
right,
That sounds
that's right.
like something a bit new.
Yeah,
and I
so
like it.
Because our panels are high quality,
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about that recycling at the moment. We've got reuse rather than recycling.
So is that also something that maybe is a price-wise maybe an option for people that have a smaller budget?
So they can't be installed on a residential roof because of regulation, but they can be on a ground mount, they can be on a caravan. So there are applications for it, but it can't go on a brand new.
Okay, so it could be a nice solution for a less obvious way of where you maybe normally would be held back maybe by the price, but now using the used panels, it actually becomes a little bit more interesting.
And we've used some of these for charity work. So we've sent containers of these to Papua New Guinea, for example, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I don't suppose have regulation there that you can't put it on.
Well, they're doing little off-grid systems. It's perfect for that.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Excellent. Well, that's really good to hear. And what I really like about the combination of solar with an energy efficient home is, and we were talking prior to the interview about you putting your own home together, is it ties in so nicely because the more energy efficient you make your home, meaning more passively, it's the less energy it requires to actually run that house, which ties so good in so well with solar, which the lower that demand gets, the easier it becomes to get to use your solar on top to basically go zero.
Yeah, that's right. So
right.
The hardest thing we face in solar is covering people's winter bills.
Right.
And often that's because houses in Australia not well insulated, not well sealed, and the winter heating bills are through the roof.
Yeah.
And so I've gone down the path with SUHO. We've worked on a house for myself, and I've got my house up to about 6.8 to 7 stars, somewhere around that mark.
Yeah.
And so with a solar system I'm planning on putting on there with that kind of rating, I'm expecting very low usage. And so my heating costs will be more than covered by the solar I'm planning on putting on the property. So if I wasn't taking that approach on the design of the property, solar would be a challenge.
Yeah.
But by being a little bit more thoughtful about what we're doing, having nice big open north facing windows, being able to get some warmth into the
winter,
property in winter and stuff like that.
Excellent.
It's really offsetting my need for solar in winter, and then I've got plenty of solar through summer to run the pool and to do a few extra luxuries. So
excellent.
Opens things up.
Yeah, look, I mean, and I guess that's the whole trick to this thing, right? It's about looking at it holistically and then looking at it from an early, at an early stage in the project to make sure that whatever you're going to invest in is also good bang for buck, because you get a good return on that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, back in the Netherlands where I'm from, we would look at a return on investment on solar panels. If they were below 10 years, we would be like, let's go. But the return on investment here on panels in Australia is just a fraction of that.
Yeah, if we've got a system that's greater than 4 years payback on a solar system, we've done something wrong. So
wow.
Yeah.
So that's because I've seen stories with 1, 2 years, 3 years, like pretty straightforward.
Yep.
It's pretty much a no-brainer on residential and commercial projects here in South Australia, but even anywhere in Australia, really, I would imagine. So for those people watching, even if you have an existing home, probably the business case is there to put solar on top of it, right? Or
I liken it to investment decision. So if you took your money out of the bank, so it might cost you $8,000 or $10,000 to put a solar system on a roof, a good quality system.
Yeah.
If you took that money out of the bank, you took that money and you tried to invest it in the share market, you might get 10% returns on your money.
Yeah.
If you were really lucky, you might get 15%.
Yeah, and then you're doing pretty good.
Right? So that would be a really amazing outcome. You take that $10,000, you put that into a solar system. You are effectively getting that 4-year payback, 3-year payback. You're getting essentially 25 to 33% return on your money, but it lasts 25 years.
Nice.
So really it is a significant return. There's nothing else you can put money into short term and guarantee that you'll get that money back.
That's incredible. That's incredible numbers, like 25, 30 plus percent. That's nuts. And for those people that perhaps would struggle, putting this money up front, taking it out of the bank and putting it in the thing, is there any solutions these days already in terms of, term payments, lease buy, constructions? Like what are we seeing?
We've got rental options and we've got straightforward loans. Now, the loans we offer are cash flow positive. So essentially you are no worse off today than you would be otherwise if you took out a loan to put a solar system on. Yeah. The loan repayments are less than the savings you make on the solar system.
Yeah. So, it's actually going to pay for itself really quickly.
Basically, yeah. So there's no reason not to do it. It's just a commitment to say, I understand what I'm doing, I understand, I trust.
And you want to be probably in your property for the next 5 to 10 years, ideally. That would be,
that's right. That's right. So there's a lot of people out there who just need that little bit of trust. Find a company that know what they're doing, that are here to stay. Now, the new factory we're building, it's a $7 million investment just in the building and the land. You don't make that investment in South Australia unless you're planning on being here for a very long time.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that happens in solar in Australia is anybody can set up a solar company. They can start selling panels and then shut up shop 2-3 years later. And your warranty and all that sort of stuff disappears with them. Now, when you invest $7 million, you can't do that.
No,
so
absolutely.
It's a real commitment to South Australia, and it's a real commitment to making sure we're still here.
No.
It's not just buying a van and putting some panels on the roof to install. It's a real significant commitment.
Great story, Robert. Great story. And to be honest, for anyone watching this that doesn't have solar panels yet on their roof, contact these guys because you really have no excuse not to. And one more thing two more things I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is obviously we're talking about having the system on the roof, maybe in this case 5 kilowatts, the house only uses a kilowatt. Where are you going to leave that excess, right? Mm-hmm. So putting it back into the grid, we all know that's probably not your best business case, right? Certainly not here in Australia, but that's where the batteries come in, and I know you guys also work in that space. What can we talk a little bit about sort of the battery technology and where is that sitting right now? Where are we expecting it to be? Because it is an important part of being able to capture in the good parts of the day where maybe you're not even in the home because you're at the office, being able to capture that energy.
So the battery story at the moment, there's government rebates that allow that battery to become a bit cheaper than it would otherwise. And the battery really does allow you to just use your own power. It's the only way to truly get down to zero bills because you're not exporting to the grid and it's keeping all your power inside your own property essentially. We do still have feed-in tariffs available in South Australia, but they are diminishing every year. So they were 20 cents a couple of years ago and now we're diminishing down to 10 cents.
Right.
So they are dropping. They're still there, but they're nowhere near what they were. And you can't really rely on those as a long-term solution, whereas a battery is there to offset those usages. Going forward, they're changing tariffs so that there'll be more incentive to use batteries. So your evening peak will cost more to run if you don't have a battery. There's no solar available, and you'll have an evening peak that costs you more to run. So put a battery in, your evening peak will cost you nothing. So all of those benefits are there with the battery.
So would you say basically going solar without a battery doesn't make much sense?
At the moment, it's neither here nor there. So the battery itself is a beautiful solution if you want everything that a battery can offer. So a battery does give other benefits like battery backup and that energy independence and getting that bill down to near zero. So if that's your ultimate target, beautiful. That's the way to go. If you want the maximum return on investment, solar is the only way to go because it's just nothing can beat it. But you won't get your bill down to zero, you won't get backup during a blackout, and there are things you miss out on by not having the battery.
If you're looking at the kilowatts system on the roof, how does that relate to the battery capacity? Is that do you try to do one-on-one? Do you like what's your advice?
We're generally designing the battery size to fit what the overnight use of the property will be.
Okay.
And then we size the solar to make sure we've got enough to run the day and charge overnight.
Right.
So it's an overall design. It takes a bit of time with the client to get everything right. We ask huge number of questions about their usage, about number of kids and what ages they are and the appliances in the home and what it's like and what their current bills are like, what their future is expected to be, all that sort of stuff. Customers get a bit sick with all the questions, but you know what, if you want
to do it right.
If you want a good solution, that's what we've got to do.
Of course. No, but that's being diligent, and I think that's testimony to how you guys want to operate. And the final topic I wanted to talk to you about, and perhaps the one thing I'm most excited about, is the future. We're sitting in what is arguably, an example of a home of the future. This is how the home of the future could look like in South Australia and Australia moving forward. Solar plays a big part of that. Everyone is hearing a lot about solar, whether it's Elon Musk with his tiles on the roof that has solar panel in there. I did a big project back in the Netherlands where the windows were actually capturing solar and all that stuff. You're in this space. What can you talk to us about what is coming next? What are the next, not only for Tindo itself, but also just generally from a solar technology perspective?
So to give a bit of background on how I'm running my house that I'm building right now. So I've taken advice from SUHO about how to make my house more energy efficient, but I've purposely removed the gas connection from my property because I can't do anything with that gas in the future. I can't generate my own gas. I can't do anything with that gas. So my house is going to be an electric house, and the grid is going to become more and more gas, less and less. More and more electric, less and less gas. And so that transition means your solar, your car, everything like that will be electric. So you'll come home, you'll plug your car in. Like your phone, you wake up in the morning, you've got a full tank. Essentially, you'll never run out of petrol because your car will be full. And it will all come from your house and from your battery and from your solar. Your entire house will be electric. Your heating, your water, everything will be coming from your solar. And it'll all be that nice self-generation. And if you've got a nice energy efficient house as well, and there's still feed-in tariffs in place, you'll actually be positive in terms of what you contribute to the grid. That's really where we're going in terms of a grid and a network. South Australia is leading the pack in that. Last Sunday, we actually hit 100% of our needs in South Australia was powered by solar alone.
Wow.
Not wind, not anything, just solar powered 100%.
100% of South Australia powered by solar. That's a pretty incredible number.
Yeah, that's right.
amazing.
So about 75% of that was coming off of rooftops, and about 25% coming from solar farms out in Tailem Bend and a couple of places like that.
Okay.
But 75% directly from rooftops of householders.
How far
and
we've gone,
businesses.
That's
right.
to a decade ago. Like people wouldn't even be able to really fathom that. That idea.
And nothing happened. Nothing exploded. The grid didn't fall over.
No.
You know,
We're still all here.
That's right. No meteorites fell from the sky. This isn't the reckoning, and we're all here still. So solar is amazing.
It's here to stay. That's clear. And because what I'm personally thinking is like I'm thinking the whole house becomes one big, because I don't see any reason why, we're now looking at the roof as the place where we're gonna, but more and more the cells are gonna get efficient. They need less and less that direct sunlight to be able to capture it, right? So I've already seen cladding, I've seen walls that are also starting to, what can you tell us a little bit about what you're hearing in the industry?
Yeah, well, we're even getting to the point where solar's so cheap, you can put solar on the south roof of south face of a roof and still generate plenty of electricity and make it useful. So previously it was got to be north facing only because the solar was so expensive you had to get every single drop out of it.
Okay.
Now,
interesting, by the way. Sorry to but also for the people that have seen the little video, you'll see that actually this house isn't facing north with the elevation. We have got a slightly south facing. But what you guys have done is actually put it on a slight tilt on the roof to be able to still capture it. So certainly you don't have to only face north in order to still be able to use.
Solar. That's right. And so even a south-facing 90-degree vertical. So you could put it on a south-facing wall, flat, pointing direct south. So not even tilted to the north. It's just essentially in shadow the entire year.
Yeah.
That panel will generate 30% of what a perfect 30-degree facing north panel will do. So it's not that it will produce zero. It will still produce, even if it's not in any sunlight at all, 30% of what you would expect a perfect panel to do. And obviously anything you can get improved from that in terms of an angle will be a benefit from there. So south, I guess, is the new face for those people who have not done solar in the past. It's now potentially affordable. So
becoming an option.
Yeah, a lot of people living at the moment in duplexes where their neighbour's got the beautiful north roof and they're stuck with the south roof. Yeah, and so it's actually viable now for them to do solar as well. So those sort of changes are happening now with the price of solar, that it becomes economic.
And the technology, the cells itself, what I'm interested also in is how, because I just mentioned a couple of examples where basically solar capturing technology becomes embedded in other things like windows, in the roofing. Like, what do you see, especially from a roofing perspective? Do you see this moving towards still having the separate panels on top of the roof, or is it going to maybe become more and more almost like an integrated system where your roof is just and your roof as well as capturing all that sun?
So we've been involved in a few projects over time with integrated panels, and they're a great idea for aesthetics, but at the moment we're still in a transition period working out how do you waterproof them, how do you make them a nice...
But if we're there to think 10 years ahead...
That's right. So when those little details are solved, I think that's just going to be a beautiful solution.
Yeah. So are we expecting...
a few hiccups to get past, but I think that's the replacing the roof with solar. It's got to be the right design, but that'll look beautiful.
I feel like I'm calling it right here, 2020. I'm thinking a decade from now, our roofs are basically going to be one big solar panel. Effectively, that's what I think is going to happen. No more that separate thing on top. Your roof is just that. The way you guys, a lot of here in South Australia, you're using the steel roofing. In the Netherlands, I've barely seen that ever. We use the tiles. The tiles are going to start being replaced with this solar thing. I reckon this might also, in the next decade. I don't see the technology is moving so quickly. So the things that you're mentioning about waterproofing stuff, I have no doubt they can find a solution for that. And you're going to see it. I think you're going to see it on cars in the roofs. You're going to see it on buses in the roofs. I think it's just going to be integrated across a society. Where everything, like you said, is going to get so electrically powered that we're going to just have that electric, gathering of this energy just integrated in pretty much everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's right. So the world is moving more and more electric. and it's that transition away from gas, and away from fossil fuels. And as much as we have governments who want to try and deny that and cling on to what the status quo used to be, they're grasping at straws, because the market is talking. I've got friends who work for Santos, and Santos in the back end, they're looking at hydrogen, they're looking at other solutions, because they understand exactly that fossil fuels are running out, that they've got to look at alternative solutions, because they've got a ticking.
They want to be around for in the next decades.
They've got a ticking clock, and they've got to adjust. So
the whole world starts to realize, look, we can't really go on anymore the way we used to. And sun is the predominant motor of anything in nature. Why wouldn't it be for us as well, right?
So that's right.
Well, we're hitting the 30-minute mark, so people watching now think, geez, these guys can talk for ages. So let's stop right there. But look, if anyone is looking for any more information around solar and Tindo, obviously we've got a 10starhome.com.au. Go to partners, you'll find Tindo right there with some more information about what they provided here, but also a way to contact them if you do want to get in touch and want to get that tour that we were talking about. Thank you so much, Robert, for coming in today. Talking to us a little bit about anything related solar. I think it was very educational for anyone that was involved. Again, thanks for being partners on this project. We couldn't have done it without you.
No worries.
And keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks.